morning. Welcome to From the Coffee Shop podcast. I'm Rick Entrop.
I'm Peggy Hurson.
I'm Scott Clark.
And we are at Vince's Coffee in Renton.
It was like you were stumbling until I put food in my mouth.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, you know,
That's
you gotta
like
wait for that perfect
That's
moment.
how you get pictures taken too,
Yeah.
when you have a full fork of apple pie and it's in your mouth.
It's December 29th, 2013. I know. Way
We
back
traveled back in time
Yeah.
to 1995.
We missed it more than a decade.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'd be 25 again and be 280 pounds still. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, right on. So, Peg, you were in Tri-Cities this last weekend.
I was in the Tri-Cities for the weekend.
How was that?
Really fun.
Cool. Nice. Did you see some movies?
I did see some movies. I'm like, what do you want me to
What are the odds?
say? We played, actually, so it was the post-Christmas trip to the Tri-Cities that was like, might as well go to the Tri-Cities because I have 5 days off kind of a trip. I was there for about 48 hours, which is the maximum amount of time I want to be there.
Nice.
And because I find on day 3 it's just more eating and more of whatever you did the day before.
Right.
And I could be at home eating food that doesn't have 1,000 calories a pop. So the Tri-Cities is for fatness. That is the one thing I know, which is everything that happens in the Tri-Cities makes you fat. Every single thing.
That's all Christmas holiday is to gain weight. That's what we got for Christmas was chocolate. That's all we got, pretty much. Other than the gifts we gave each other.
Some nice T-shirts.
That was awesome. Thank you, Rick. I wanted. They were awesome. Yeah. That was really cool.
And a nice fuzzy blanket.
A nice
Which
fuzzy
I got
blanket.
for Peg that goes awesome with our couch.
Do you like it?
Yes.
I gave
awesome.
Rick this one of those super poofy, smooth, soft. What is it called?
I have
microfiber. It's like the fake fur, but it's super soft.
I got one too. I got one
Nice.
too. Well, it was for the family, but
I kind of wanted it for myself, but
I did
gave
the.
it to Rick anyway.
As soon as I seen it, I pounced on it. I pounced on ours because every blanket in our house is not. Even the one I've had for 25 years is not my blanket. It's my wife's blanket.
Oh.
So it was before our relationship. Is how old this blanket is. And I can't. She took it. She robbed me of my blanket.
You should divorce her.
But then I'd lose my blanket forever. She'd get it. It'd be a
You'd have to do a custody battle for your
It'd be a
blanket.
huge cussing. I was like, who gets the son?
Does he have a blanket?
But it was fun. I didn't see any family I don't see all the time anyway. So, mom and dad, but.
Right.
Yeah. I see them so much more often now that I'm in Seattle that to me it's like, oh, hey, I just saw you a month ago.
Hey, I know you.
What's going on since a month ago?
Right.
Pretty much the same. Let's go to the movies.
In my family, it's turned into more or less the people I used to hang out exclusively. It's like we only see each other once this holiday, and it becomes
That's cool.
It just I get to see how much more they've aged between years. It's like, wow. I seen a cousin who he actually looks like he's in his 60s.
Oh wow.
He's my age.
Crazy.
Wow.
Well, it's drugs.
Some people, I was gonna say some people don't.
Yeah.
Don't
They
age
don't
well.
Have your cousin become grandparents yet? Any of your cousins?
I got a few of them.
We have a few too.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a few sisters now that are grandparents. Is there just one sister?
Bernice is a grandparent, right?
Right. That's what I understand.
Sandy's not, is she?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Even though her oldest is pretty old.
Right.
Yeah, we're starting to get the next generation. It's creepy.
Yeah. Of babies.
Right.
Yeah.
The new crop is coming in.
It's kind of bizarre, but luckily our oldest nephew that lives nearby is a long way off.
Yeah.
Well, good. Hopefully he stays that way for a long
He's
time.
in age old enough, but I can't imagine him even being interested in having children for the next 10 years. But you never know. Some people just one day are and here we go.
Yeah.
So, but I did see The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, and Anchorman 2.
Did you see The Hobbit in the high frame rate?
No.
Nice. Didn't for that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's that? What's a high?
Well, they
frame?
record it and they do it digitally in they call it high frame rate. That's like
Oh.
48 frames instead of 24.
It almost makes it feel a little bit more unreal.
That's been the feedback. I don't know. I just heard
I find
the review
that-
that I heard was you got to watch it with the high frame rate.
I find that small differences in projection make zero difference on whether I like a movie or not. So I've stopped giving,
sure.
Yeah.
like IMAX. I don't pay extra for unless it's like for a fun. Like I went to see Jurassic Park when they showed it in IMAX. It was more like an event than it was a movie. Just like, oh, everyone who loves Jurassic Park is going to the movies.
Yeah.
But I won't pay for 3D if I don't have to. I won't pay for, you know what I mean? It just seems like, to me, it's just
I wonder if they'd ever do a
money.
Rocky Horror Picture Show in IMAX.
I'm sure they have.
Really, that would be.
I can't imagine that they
Don't
wouldn't
the
have.
theaters
It's so
get
popular.
destroyed? If
They would.
people do that.
They totally do.
I mean-
Yeah, maybe they won't.
Yeah, just for that reason.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe right before we get new chairs and renovate.
Right.
Well, and The Hobbit was interesting because pretty much the entire movie isn't in the book. Like this one, the first one, it was like 95% of that is stuff from the book.
Right.
With some embellishment. This middle one is the magical, mysterious string to connect the beginning and the end that didn't really happen.
Okay.
There's like certain parts, like the barrel riding is really in there, where like certain loose things, but there's like whole characters that don't exist in the book. And, like one of the main characters of the second movie, which is Kate from, you guys never watched Lost. It's Evangeline Lilly, I think her name is. She doesn't exist in the book, and she's like 2/3 of the plot of this thing hinges on her, and she doesn't even exist in the book. And then the whole end sequence, Christopher, my nephew, and I looked at each other, and we're like, that's not in the book, right? And I was like, no, I think I would remember this, because it was really spectacular, but I was like, no, that was like one little moment that they added something really weird in. If you know what really happens at the end, the thing they added in, it's like, well, that doesn't really make any sense if you know the ending. But they wanted to stop it at a point where like Aragorn isn't there yet. They're at Lake City, but all the stuff that happens in the big final thing, like they can stretch it, you know?
Right.
They gave you like this much of the final battle, and clearly the next movie they're going to stretch the final battle to take up the whole movie.
Right. Yeah, that's what.
Which is fine. I liked the stuff they had that wasn't in the book at all.
Yeah.
Except for one part of it I thought was dumb.
Which part?
Can I spoil it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I spoil it?
Sure.
Smaug is a fire-producing dragon. Literally turns red before he blows smoke or blows fire because he builds a fire in his tummy. The dwarf's brilliant idea is to dip him in gold to kill him. But if you literally produce that much, I'm like, how could that even theoretically? Clearly, he can't be burned, or he would burn himself up.
That's what I thought that was.
And then, if you coat him in gold, gold does not shake off, even though he's just like, oh, you can't. Oh, I just shake off the gold and fly away. No, that would not happen. You wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't die because he can't be burned. But then he's coated in gold, which kind of makes him more strong than he was before. Harder to kill.
Made him
when
really
coated
shiny.
in metal.
Made him really shiny.
It did. It looked cool.
Yeah.
You think
but sensically,
possibly too heavy to fly then too.
Right. Yeah, maybe. But he doesn't rely on feather technology because he's a dragon.
Right.
So, I mean, it just didn't make any sense, and it was like Thorin was like, I reclaim my whatever the crap, and then he's like in gold, and I'm like, well, how would that possibly kill him? Plus, I know what happens at the end, and this is not that.
Right.
And then he just flies away, and then Thorin's like, oh shit, that didn't work. That's the whole ending.
Oh, oops.
And it's like, oh, now he's gonna go mess with Lake City. It's like, well, yeah, he has to, or else why did we watch Lake City for the last 20 minutes?
Right.
If he's not gonna, if they can kill him under the mountain.
It's just kind of a side thing.
I was like, well, that seems kind of cool. But we're just going to murder the dragon without anybody seeing him, even though we've set up the black arrow and, the little boy's like hiding the arrow and the thing. And I'm like, well, clearly this is not going to work. But we'll wait through you making this the climactic thing because you need something at the end of this movie so we don't all just like huck things at the screen.
Right.
But
it's like you can't end the movie before the next one starts.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was a little annoyed because it was just such a stupid idea.
Yeah.
And I would have been, the dwarf would have been like, hey, wait a minute. I don't think he can be burned because he's blowing fire all around this place and that's not hurting him. Maybe this idea won't work.
Besides,
they're all too
plus
dumb.
he's covered in gold and isn't he like shedding the massive clumps of gold all over the place?
They'd just be like murdering things by like shaking things off. And Thorin rides a wheelbarrow down the forge that they build that's molten, making the molten gold. Just like no biggie. He's like, oh, I'll just surf on this wheelbarrow. And I'm like, you would die. You are the one who would die in this scenario. You would all be dead because
didn't even
it's
get the
so
slightest bit warm.
hot
He's
in
got
there.
his hands
and
down.
they had the magical Independence Day fire that can't turn corners through the whole dragon thing, where it's like, I'll jump behind this pillar, and fire's like blowing around them, and they're like, well, the light isn't touching me, so I'm not dead. And I'm like, well, heat doesn't really work like that. Right.
It's movie heat, though.
It made so little sense, but the bad guy, Orc, which also then there were plot holes like Sting didn't glow when orcs were around at all the entire movie. Yeah, it was really weird, and they made up that like he just came up with the name Sting when really Sting was the name of the sword before Bilbo ever got it. Yeah. There were just a lot of problems, a lot of problems with
some of
the
it.
movie.
Some of it they pulled from the animated movie too.
I'm sure,
yeah.
But like the bad guy Orc. He was the orc from the first movie who Thorin cut his arm off, and he just had a stick jammed through the top part of his arm. He was badass. Yeah. He's like, I need a hand. Let me jam this stick in my arm, and it's like sticking out the back of his elbow. It looks so badass.
It was in the first movie too.
Was it? Yeah. I don't remember that from there.
He picked people up with it. Yeah.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I only saw the first one once.
Yeah.
That I thought he was cool, but like it was so scattered, and it was funny because Gandalf is so Gandalf. Yeah, and I was showing my nephew this decision tree I saw on Facebook after the movie that's like how Gandalf makes decisions. Right. And it's like it just has a little question that's like, are you in trouble? Yes, go here. No, go here. And it's like, yes, I am in trouble. Can a hobbit fix it? Yeah. Yes, a hobbit can fix it. Oh, good. Right. Are you in trouble? Can a hobbit fix it? No. Will magic work? Yes. Work. Oh, good. Oh, good. Will magic work? No. Call the Eagles.
Right, yeah.
So funny. Totally. Because in like the perfect moment, Gandalf's like, all right, we're going to do this. Oh, wait, I got to go do something else, so why don't you guys do this? Right. I'll meet up with you after.
Yeah, you see, I got something
if he can meet up with you after, then he should just go to the end of the line, do whatever it is you're trying to do.
Someone's like, I left the oven on the home, guys. I got to go home and check it out.
Totally.
It's like if my wife was in the movie. She would turn around and go home and check the stove.
Nice. Yeah. But it makes no sense because the movies are based on land travel and like questing and like we have to do A, B, and C because that is what is physically between us and our destination. Right. But Gandalf isn't bound by any of that.
Card to play,
I know. The Eagles are the great sidestep of the entire story. Yeah. The Eagles could have accomplished everything. Yeah. With like no hobbits, no quests. They could have just gone like really, and then like dropped things and.
Were they in the first book, and then were they in the Hobbit, or were they only in the Lord of the Rings?
I thought they were only in the Lord of the Rings. Okay, but theoretically, Gandalf has the Eagles the whole time, and does not ever employ them.
Hotel California.
But if you're trying to get through a forest, and like you have a conversation where you're like, we should not go in this forest because this shit seems fucked up. We should do something different, and then everyone's like. The only other options are to go 200 miles south or twice that north.
Well,
we have to go through this forest. And then Gandalf is like, you guys go through the forest. I'll meet you on the other side in like 3 days. And then he goes someplace totally different. Clearly, he can just fly. And so why are you going through the forest?
Because he doesn't...
Everyone grab Gandalf and he'll just take you over the forest because clearly he can do that.
But then they'll never fight the spiders.
I know, and that was really fun. There always has to be a giant spider.
All those opportunities to grow.
That's true.
As hobbits, it's all about
Yeah, personal growth.
Personal growth. And, and setting goals and achieving
and not being corrupted by power. Right, that's like at least the Peter Jackson version. The entire thing is just that like once you're in charge, you're an asshole.
That's
Like
why
nothing good happens.
derail us for just a second. Rick ordered a panini here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I noticed, I learned, here's what I learned. I love paninis. But I don't have panini press at home. Waffle maker makes a great substitute.
Oh, cool.
It's a nice pattern.
Yeah.
It's different than a
Interesting.
pattern.
Just
But
like a frying pan works too.
yeah, but
I think they
you don't
call
get
that
that
grilled cheese, maybe.
Yeah.
But I use a.
Panini's a made-up word anyway.
Is it really?
It's just a kind of bread.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with
With
being
the
grilled
press.
or not grilled.
Oh.
Yeah, I confirmed this with. I used to have an Italian roommate. She worked at the Italian consulate in Chicago, and I would take her to stores and be like, "What does that word mean?" She's like, "It's kind of like a kind of bread." Like, what does that word mean? It's another kind of bread. Like every dumb sounding Italian word we have for food does not in any way mean the thing that we think it means.
Eskimos and ice. Where they have like,
They have like 1,000 words for bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's delicious though.
Yeah, it's just a grilled sandwich.
That's
But
pretty
for
good.
some reason, at some point in time, it was declared a panini, and it was in like 2004, because the word panini did not exist before 2004. And now, since then, all grilled sandwiches are called paninis.
Paninis. And well, they have
And that
press.
has nothing to do with. Well, but they called the panini press, after they declared the grilled sandwich the panini. Before that, it was the sandwich maker. Do you remember we had one?
Oh yeah.
The sandwich press.
Mom had that.
Yeah.
Sandwich maker.
Man, you
They'd
can
make these two little kind of quarter sandwich
Yeah.
things. And,
We used to have one that would, it would make pockets.
like little,
Yeah.
pizza pockets and
Yeah.
stuff. Totally, it's the
That
same
would
thing.
scald the
Seems like
inside of
if-
your mouth.
Because it turns it into like
Molten.
a
Yeah.
boiling pocket of cheese. Anyway,
yeah. So cool.
but the
did-
movie I suggest,
Yeah.
after all that about The Hobbit, it is really good. American Hustle.
Yeah.
Really good.
Absolutely go see it. It's really funny.
Cool.
It's really good plot. Like it's a really funny movie that is in no way a comedy.
It's
Like the
based
point of
in
the
this-
movie is not comedic at all.
It's
So it's
70s
not-
It's
based.
the 70s.
Okay.
Its intention is to be a like con artist heist kind of setup,
Okay.
which is really good, and it has a lot of emotional impact. But I laughed more at that movie than I did Anchorman 2.
Really?
Like it's
Oh.
more
Huh.
authentically funny.
Right on.
And because the people in it are so ridiculous. Like Christian Bale put on 50 pounds for it.
Oh, yeah?
And there's one scene
Oh.
where they're having a really serious conversation, but he's sitting and he's just fat. He's in a swimsuit and he has this crazy comb over, and the angle they shoot him from is really low. So you're just like looking right at his junk and his gut and his
Oh.
hair. And he's having this like, it's actually like kind of like how the girl fell in love with him part. And it's hysterical because he looks so crazy. But she's like talking about like the things about him that like made her fall in love with him, and he just like
Okay.
looks so gross. And it's really funny.
Is
Like
it like
the comedy
a-
is so sharp.
Like a Fear and Loathing Las Vegas sort of funny way, but that's
little
not
bit.
funny. I
Or
guess.
like it almost was like True Grit. You know how True Grit
Right.
doesn't have any. You've never seen
I've
True
seen
Grit?
True
Oh, it's
Grit.
so good. It doesn't have
I've seen the
any
remake.
scenes which the point of them is to be funny, but every scene is funny.
Yeah,
Like the
because
scenes all have a totally different point, and you're following this
Or like
plot.
Fargo or something?
Yeah, like Fargo.
Okay.
That's also
Okay.
the same people
Right.
who did True Grit. It's that
Okay.
kind of sensibility where it's like
okay,
there's all this humor in something not humorous.
Okay. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like almost dark comedy.
Yeah,
it's,
a little bit.
It's funny with
But I think of it more as just like the humor is not the point.
Right.
The humor is the context. Like
Okay.
it's a humorous look at something that is very serious. You know.
I see.
Because like it really like is a really emotional movie that has all this stuff where you're like it's about corruption and politics, but it kind of shows you like almost the upside of corruption. It's really weird.
Whoa.
But then like you're kind of like you're what you want to happen. Like the good guys and the bad guys switch places about
Right.
6 times, and
Okay.
and I love con artist movies. So you're always kind of going like, what's really going on? Because these guys
Right.
are con artists.
Right.
But then the whole thing is funny. So I loved it. I think like at least it'll get a Best Picture nomination for sure, Best Actor for Christian Bale, and probably a Best Actress for Amy Adams, who I think will win because she was, and her boobs. I saw her boobs like 1,000 times.
Who's Amy
Yeah, really?
Adams?
She's topless pretty much the whole time?
Either topless or wearing a completely see-through shirt
Oh,
with
nice.
not one outfit did she wear that wasn't just completely open, like that 70s deep
Oh,
plunge
right,
that
right,
plunges
right.
to your navel.
Yeah, the
All boobs.
The disco.
I don't know any.
She's got really long red hair. She was in Enchanted. She was in the Muppet movie with Jason Segel.
Oh, whoa.
She was She's been in she was nominated.
She Lois Lane in the new Superman?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was.
Okay,
yeah,
because
totally.
we just watched that last night.
Yeah, I watched it like
going,
3 weeks ago.
huh.
She was Lois Lane.
Okay.
Did you like that?
She's been in
Man of
1,000
Steel?
We
movies.
didn't finish it. We didn't
No.
finish it, so we kind of both crashed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far, so good. I thought it was paced kind of awkwardly though. So far, it was like this really big, intense, high opening, and then
I would agree with
super
that.
long nothing after that.
Right.
They should have just switched it around a little, like super long, mixed with some of it a little bit, to kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're jumping around in the plot anyway. It seemed like
Right,
they could
right.
incorporate sort of that intro scenery
It's
into
a lot
it a
of
little bit this way.
flashbacks.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. I mean, it just was a little jarring more than.
I like Russell Crowe in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I thought Michael Shannon as Zod stole the whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
Like
he
the
was really
entire
good.
movie, I was
Yeah.
like, more of him.
Yeah.
I just want to watch that guy
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, he was really believable as.
And
you
that
know,
actor is so crazy magnetic to me.
Yeah.
Like everything he does makes me like gives me the heebie-jeebies. He's
Yeah.
so good.
I watched a movie with him in it, and he was a cop that was. Oh, what was it called? It was he was chasing bike messengers. What's that guy's name?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah,
Oh.
It's
yeah.
called Premium Rush.
Premium Rush.
Worst name
Wow.
for a pretty good movie ever because
Yeah.
it sounds like a Vin Diesel movie, and it's
Right.
totally not.
And it's actually-
I liked it.
It's pretty good, entertaining,
Oh,
and
cool.
it has some hokey aspects.
Yeah.
Sure,
aspects
sure.
to it. But
Isn't there? Who else is in that? There's one other person who is a name. It's not Bruce Willis, is it? Oh no, I'm
Is he?
mixing two
No.
movies together now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the time travel one, Joseph
Jumper?
Gordon-Levitt did,
Right.
which I loved.
that was
Yeah.
amazing
I
too. I
love
like
that
that
movie.
movie because he looked like him.
Oh, I know.
The
They did a really
yeah.
good job
And the way he-
of making them each half of each other.
Right.
It was really
Yeah.
good.
It was really good. Yeah.
There are about 6 more time travel movies coming out in
Oh, yeah?
2014,
Wow.
which, if you ever want to learn about how, like, you know how you see, like, things like Duck Dynasty, the show that's, like,
I've only
hugely
heard about
popular.
it. I don't-
No one I know has ever seen this show.
Oh.
Like, 0 people.
Yeah.
But it is, like a Honey Boo Boo phenomenon.
Right.
If nobody
Yeah.
you know has ever heard of this,
Right.
go to the Tri-Cities, because you will sit next to, in the movie theater,
Oh.
people who are like, Duck Dynasty is the best show, oh my gosh, how could you not watch that? Because they're just, it's like the lowest common denominator humans.
Girls behaving badly as Peg.
Oh no, but I heard on morning radio that
Yeah.
if you ask a girl out, just idiots. So I'm sitting in watching the previews for Anchorman 2, and
Yeah.
my nephew and I are just like cracking up because people are saying the dumbest things, like just stupidity the whole way around. Like the people sitting next to me were having this really intense conversation about Zac Efron, and I was like, even though I actually really like Zac Efron, but it was like the context of it was so dumb that I was
Right.
like, we're sitting in the dumbest room of people ever. But they were
Is he
watching.
the one? He's not the one for Scrubs.
No, that's Zach Braff.
Zac Efron, he was on.
did High School Musical 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, yeah.
And he did a movie called 17 again, which is actually why I think he's really funny.
Yeah.
17
It's
again. That was
really
with
good
Matt.
with Matthew Perry from
Yeah.
Friends,
Okay.
which is just like a body changing movie, but it's really funny. Like
Okay.
it has
The Freaky
it's-
Friday.
Yeah, it just takes that formula and just its
Okay.
jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was good. I liked it. Actually, and watching him, I was like, oh, he is really funny. That's cool because he's like.
Not the guy from the Apple commercials, is he?
No, that's Justin Long.
Justin Long. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're watching previews,
Mhm.
time travel movies, and they are like,
They're coming out.
if you just take a deck of cards and write the scenes from every time travel movie ever made and then shuffle the deck.
Time Cop.
Yeah, it's like, oh, who would have known that traveling back in time? Oh no, we're changing things.
Right, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, and I'm like, oh my god,
Tom
there
Cruise is
are
coming out
1,000
with one.
movies.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is coming out with one, and then there's
Yeah.
another one that's like teenagers and they travel back in time to their childhood, and it's the exact same movie, and like right after. So we watched the first one, which is the Tom Cruise one.
Right. It's like
And the people behind us are like, oh, that looks really good.
That's what-
And Christopher and I are snickering. And then we watched the second one right after it. Identical plot, but with the teenagers at the end of the preview. Oh, that looks really good. And I was like, they're the same movie. I like wanted to like push chairs over and like throw a,
It's
like,
all
I
different.
need to like always hold a soda so I can just throw the soda. It was like enough to make you crazy. And then the third
I would
one,
yell at it's Groundhog's Day.
I know.
That's
The
what
third one was the animated version of Mr. Peabody and Sherman,
Okay.
which is
wow.
a time
Yeah,
travel
yeah,
thing, and I was
yeah.
like, I thought my brain was gonna explode because I was like, this is a cartoon from the '60s
Yeah.
with the exact same plot as the two movies.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
I felt like I was taking crazy pills.
Right.
You probably were.
I
bet
think
you
I
were. That's what
probably
happens.
was.
Did you take any vitamins when you
No.
were there? Aspirin?
No.
Yeah.
I did get weed from
Some.
anyway, one of my family members.
Ah.
It was very fun. Anyway.
Speaking
So
of that.
anyway, you should go see American Hustle is the point
Okay.
of all of that, and fuck time travel movies.
Yeah.
All right.
I officially call them overblown. Like, even though I enjoy a lot of time travel movies, I have officially decided that they can
I'll
all
probably see
bite
Tom
me.
Cruise.
Back to the
one.
Future.
I know, I love Tom Cruise.
I think
Back to the Future was
might get a little
30
bit.
years ago, though.
I know, but you're saying all. You mean all
No,
from this
I
point
don't
forward?
say. I say
The ones coming out.
there
One's
was
coming
no
out. Oh,
longer
I see.
any need to make
Gotcha.
another time travel
Okay,
movie
all
ever
right.
again because
Not
they've
even a Back to the
all
Future
been
reboot?
made. No, especially not that. No.
Just teasing.
I even say the next
That's
time
blasphemous.
Family Guy does it, even though they
The
have
prequels
destroyed
to
their
that.
time machine in Family Guy.
Yeah.
They officially
Yeah, they brought back.
destroyed it.
They brought back Brian.
I know, but they didn't do
Well,
it with.
they spun it
they-
in two different. They kind of did two different
Right.
offshoots,
But
right?
they didn't bring Brian back and the time machine back because the time machine is still destroyed. So they can
Unless
they
you
can
go
no
to a
longer
different time
do.
where Stewie has.
They have to intersect with them again because they no longer have a time machine in the
Right,
present.
because he tried to buy more uranium or whatever
Right,
for his
he
guy,
couldn't get
and he
it.
couldn't
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so I'm just saying there's no longer any reason for anyone else to ever make a time travel movie.
Yeah, that's going to be the whole theme of 2014, I think. It's just
Well,
time travel.
clearly there's at least 4 movies coming out between now and summer that have that exact
It's like when
plot.
Transformers came out, they had Transmorphers at the same time. They did, and it
Well,
was.
and the Autobots, of course.
Did they have some?
Yeah, no, it's.
Was it
Transformers
Transformers
are
and-
Autobots.
No, I meant
What came out with it?
there's a whole different cartoon.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. What is that called?
Yeah, wow.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, I know what you're talking about. All right, we're all brain farting at the same time.
Yeah.
Smell it.
I don't know what the name of them is because aren't
Transformers
GoBots.
dominated. GoBots, thank
GoBots,
you.
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
I'm a nerd.
No, right on. No, they're totally two exact same cartoons. Were
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. One
it's
was.
kind of like the Smurfs and the Snorks. One
Right.
takes place underwater. The other one's blue
Well, Star
people.
Trek's
Pretty
kind of
much the
a
same thing.
time travel movie.
It's
the
yeah,
newer ones.
A lot of them are.
Well,
Time
the
travel.
new
right?
reboots that's totally based on a time travel sort of thing.
Right, and it's a disruption in the timeline too.
Right,
So
yeah.
you get a different development of the same story.
But the
I'm-
plot is not hinged on using traveling through time to do
Correct.
things.
No,
Yeah.
It's
no,
just the
an
premise
interesting
for what
spin
they.
on-
Yeah.
Well,
Bless you.
Are you
I'm
feeling
still
any
good.
better?
Well,
Rick has been sick.
I felt better, a little bit better every day, but not sick. I've always felt kind
Have
of
you
sick.
had time to rest though?
Sucks.
Kinda, yeah. Christmas
Yeah.
Day, we really took it easy.
Yeah.
And then, just been kind of, work hasn't been super busy,
Yeah.
luckily, so I haven't really been doing too
Yeah.
much. Just, I don't know. You can only sleep so much, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Though I did do, I remember I did listen to the podcast, and you mentioned that I might have been dressing up like Santa Claus for one of my
Oh
shifts.
yeah, did I mention it? I forgot.
You did,
I couldn't
which-
remember if I
yeah.
had or hadn't. Okay.
Yeah, which I did do. This
Mhm.
was last Friday, not this last Friday, but the Friday before that, before Christmas. Which
How'd it go
it was funny. It was great.
Cool.
I brought a lot of candy, and I actually should have brought more. But
Yeah.
So yeah, I spray painted my beard with white hairspray, and it took the whole can to get the job done. So I'd recommend buying
You could
2
have just
cans.
Crazy.
locked it and been like a younger, hipper Santa Claus.
It worked. It was
You
really
had frosted
bright.
the tips.
Yeah. And then I had the Santa hat, and basically just kind of went to Value Village and bought a bunch of red shirts
Right on.
so I could layer. And I didn't actually go making anything. I had white freezer gloves that they worked. I wasn't dropping anything, but they weren't as efficient. I had to take them off a couple times when it got sort of busy.
Yeah.
But
Right on.
it was a hoot. Everybody liked it. I mean, and
Cool.
it just happened to snow that day too.
Oh,
'Cause
that was
that was the
nice.
Friday, yeah,
Right on.
so it was actually
Our
kinda
weird
neat.
Seattle snowfall that
Right.
lasted for like 45 minutes, and everyone was like, what do we do? I was like,
Totally.
seems like it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Need to stay home.
Oh, nice. I wish I would have stayed home just because I didn't want to go to work that day.
Yeah. I went to work, but because I knew it was going to be gone by 10 a.m. I knew it. It's
Yeah,
just the way it works.
pretty much. It wasn't cold enough. They weren't forecast. I mean, if it would have gotten
Yeah.
into the 20s or
Right,
Yeah.
but it was
then
like
might
it was
have-
already almost above freezing
Oh,
by
yeah.
like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
our agency, like we either all close down or don't. Nothing closes, and so it was like I got a text from one of my coworkers at like 6 a.m. going, "Oh no, snow! Do you think we're gonna close?" And then I didn't get it until 8 a.m. And when I woke up, I was like, I don't think we're gonna close. It's 8 a.m. and it's
Yeah.
pretty much fine.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Now
So-
you can be Santa Claus guy at work.
Oh,
Everyone's
no.
gonna start expecting you to show up around Christmas time with candy now. You're gonna be
Saint-
like, "Where's that
Saint
candy?"
Yeah. It was
That's
more
fun.
just kind of as a big yuck.
Saint
really.
Rick.
Yeah, that's awesome. Saint Rick,
Yeah.
totally.
Cool. So I did
Father
that.
Rickmas.
Yeah, and then I got horribly sick on Sunday. My
Yeah.
head was just like a big
Yeah,
thing of concrete,
that sucks.
and I just couldn't move.
Yeah,
I couldn't even make it out to the living room to watch the Seahawks game.
Your
That
body will
sucks.
let you know it's time.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
done. I'm
Yeah.
done. You're not moving. 'Cause I'm not
Totally.
Right.
A lot
Well, I
of people
started
are-
feeling it Saturday, and then it just really kicked in.
A lot of people are getting sick again. There was a big wave of it in October, and then it
Right.
seemed like everybody was kind of fine through November, and now people are dropping like flies at work. It's like, oh, that person's out sick, that person's out sick. So
It's probably
I've
'cause they
quarantined
run-
myself.
They run themselves ragged during the holidays, and then it finally catches up on them. Like the bug gets.
But this one is significantly different. I think this is actually flu season. I think
Oh.
October was like just people like the seasons changing kind
Right.
of stuff, because this one people are throwing up.
Yeah, I
Oh.
actually.
And in October, people weren't barfing. This one, it's like everybody's
this
like,
one
"Oh, I was
really
throwing
laid
up
me
for 2
out.
days," and I'm like, "That's different
I
than
drank
it was."
I took a ton of echinacea and then a ton of liquid or vitamin C crystals, like way more than I probably should have. And I think that kind of just sped up the process, like compressed it into one day as opposed to,
Yeah.
But I sure the heck got sick that one day.
Yeah.
My fever was, I mean, I had a really high temperature.
Mhm.
And then like that night it broke, and then I just like
You start sweating.
sleeping in a puddle of sweat kind of thing.
Blah. That
Yeah.
sucks.
It's weird. You kind of feel better too when you start sweating. It's just
Yeah.
like
Oh
everything
yeah.
just, like,
Yeah.
releases.
And, I was just so irritable too. My poor wife. She had to put up with it. Yeah. I
Awesome.
try not to like direct it at her specifically, but you can't help but just be
It is her fault
agitated.
somehow.
Yeah.
I know
well,
it is.
no. I didn't go that
I do
far,
the
but-
same thing. Everybody who's sick, whoever's closest to them, they
Sure.
I want
Yeah.
to mention something.
Well, she's getting me back now though, because she's
Is she
sick.
sick
Oh,
now?
yeah.
Now it's your turn. It's your fault now.
Oh, that's
But she's
too
actually
bad.
quit smoking too. She's going on her 3rd week and no cigarettes. So
Cold turkey.
yeah,
Or
kinda.
Or
She
just
did
scaled
like
down.
a week of weaning it off, and then she tried to have one cigarette. Probably about 3 weeks ago, and then just smoked about half of it, and then just said that.
Yeah. Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's not only is it good for her health, but it's expensive too.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy
I'm
expensive.
happy when I have to spend money on that.
Totally.
But when I quit, I got super irritable for a couple weeks, or if not a whole month.
Well, I think you were a heavier smoker than Alex was.
Oh yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I chewed too, so it was kind of double whammy for me there. But I hadn't chewed for a while when I quit cigarettes.
Yeah.
I don't quit. Smoking's a little easier because it hurt a little more to smoke. Like my lungs at the end of the day were just like they weren't having it anymore. So
you wake up in the morning, congested and stuff like that.
Just coughing up stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
I've never. I mean, I feel lucky because I have such horrible allergies and sinuses that smoking has never in any way appealed to me. Where it's sort of like
don't chew it either.
And I can't even imagine. I feel like
it's the buzz.
Yeah.
If I were
maybe
to go
I'm
back
not
to
that
either
into
one,
having that kind of a buzz, you know.
Sure.
But I just being around people that smoke is sometimes like then I won't be able to breathe for the rest of the day.
Oh wow.
So,
that's one of the main
breathe well, like where I start noticing that I can't breathe through my nose or like my lungs feel heavy,
well,
and
I have
then it'll
asthmatic
take a
reactions
while.
to cats, which just
Totally. This weekend was like a master class in that because every person's house I was at had a cat. And it was like, I'd feel good for like 20 minutes and then I just start like itching on my nose and then I'm like, my lungs feel weird, and then I'm like, maybe we should go, and then walk outside, and you take a breath, and you're like all of a sudden, you're like, oh my gosh, I can breathe again. This is so nice. Yeah. There's a lot of cats.
I like cats.
I love cats.
I
wish
they're fun.
I'd totally have a cat if it wasn't so physically put out by them.
But, breathing is nice too.
Yeah,
Seeing is nice. Yeah. My eyes swell shut. If I touch a cat and touch my face, my eyes will swell shut.
And it's not actually the cat that you're allergic to, it's the mites.
Well, they call it dander.
Cats have their own dander, but cat hair also carries other dander a lot more.
It's the combination of the two.
But even just just a clean cat will a lot of times. But there's other cats like Carolyn's cat, our sister's cat.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem with Carolyn's cat.
Short-haired cats in combination with a lot of not absorbent furniture that will capture a lot of those.
And our sister's kind of an obsessively clean person.
Yeah,
she
if you
just
get a lot of ventilation through your place too, you're good. But I've been in some houses where they just had one cat, but it was a long hair and they had this kind of furniture, and you just walk in and you're like, oh.
Totally.
It's like,
I've been around cats outside where they're just kind of near me and I start feeling oh, this cat is, I can't even be near it.
Yeah, there are different. With nuts, I get different allergy reactions.
Totally.
Walnuts will
they just put off more.
And actually, I have been allergic to a dog, but I think that dog was like a really long-haired dog, and I think that was the problem you were talking about, where their hair is. I think it was just so hairy that it just collected the allergies of the universe and then regurgitated them to me. But I don't think I was actually allergic to the dog. I think it was just dirty and. But I was petting the dog, and then my skin itched, and I couldn't really breathe.
So it probably been close to something that you were allergic to.
Probably. Okay. Which I am allergic to, all grasses. Anything that grows in nature or on nature things or around near nature.
So the earth.
The earth.
You're allergic to the earth.
Air a little bit. Most kinds of air. There's some air that I'm fine with.
Prepackaged ventilated air.
Yes.
It's
have you ever read Gasping? It's a screenplay. I'm sure they've done it. I forget the author, but it's pretty funny. It's about this guy that sells air.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of almost like the bottled water phenomenon. How could you get people to buy air?
They actually, you can buy canned air. They have.
I've
that's
been to an
for cleaning your computer's things
out.
You can buy oxygen. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, air takes or whatever.
And it was also a big fad in the 90s.
Well, see, now they sold.
What's the one?
Is it the laughing gas or whatever you get from the
nitrous?
Is that nitrous?
Oh, yeah, that's nitrous.
Yeah.
But the thing with oxygen bars is they came up before smoking bans, and now that there's smoking bans, because in Las Vegas actually, there were a couple of times where you'd be out and it was so smoky, you just feel like crap, and it was my friend was like, let's go to an oxygen bar, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. but they lay you in this like lounge chair and they give you headphones. It's like soothing music, and then you just breathe this like really fresh air. And seriously, like we would do that for like 20 minutes, and you stand up and you're like, man, I could go all night. Like it gives you so much energy because you've been breathing like all that smoky casino air. But then once they banned smoking in casinos, I couldn't imagine doing it because you're no longer.
I
you
was
used
happy.
to like go hang out at a bar and go home and have to like burn your clothes because they freak so bad.
Oh man, I used to go to raves a lot, and it just gets so dirty. It's sick.
Yeah. I used to, because I don't wash my jeans very often, and I used to like plan what jeans I would wear because I was like, oh, I don't want these to reek like smoke because I don't want to wash them, so I'm going to wear these other jeans. Yeah. It was bad.
Bars
now
never.
now they're just like, no. Oh, I'm sure.
There was a
now
few.
They're just like.
When I was growing up, there was a few bars that were specifically non-smoking. We had the Milton Tavern in Milton. Proper
Imagine
name.
that.
And then they had the bench warmer cafes or bench warmer bars, and then you go in there, they were smokeless, and I like going to those.
Oh
ones.
yeah.
But then when everybody became smoke free, those ones went out of. Well, the one in Milton's still there, but the bench warmers are gone.
No longer a novelty.
They got bought out.
Totally.
Yeah.
So have you guys thought about if you do? I don't know if you guys do New Year's resolutions.
That's
I'm a big New Year's resolution person because I actually do things that I plan to do.
Okay, what have you done that you've accomplished through New Year's resolutions?
I went to Africa.
Cool.
Where I was like, my New Year's resolution is I'm going to Africa this fall, and then I went to Africa.
Right on.
1 year I read 52 books in 52 weeks.
Yeah. Was your movie gig a New Year's resolution?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
No, I just happened. I got the movie pass for Christmas.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, that one I sort of pooped out on going to the film festival movies like halfway through the year.
Maybe because you didn't make it a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Well, I did. I did a lot of movies that year, but my plan was to see like as many as possible, and I got too busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I've done. Usually I pick something that doesn't take the whole year.
Okay,
so then you finish it by the end of January or something.
Okay.
But it's just a nice time to like go, what do I want to do? Oh, I want to do that.
It seems like they're
I'm gonna
all
go do that.
things you could accomplish rather than I'm going to work out every week this year. Like some sort of yearly sort of. No.
I don't really do that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm always sort of trying to be in better physical shape, and
sure. Well, I didn't mean like that specifically, but just something that you
done. They're like,
I mean, or I'm not gonna spend money on shoes for all year or some year sort of thing.
I see.
Where it's more like you've had this specific thing that you wanted to see happen, and then it happened. Rather than a whole sort of
something that's more like a lifestyle change.
Sure. Well, I'm going to go to church every week. Or whatever it is. It wasn't like
Yeah, I don't know.
So I guess there are two different kinds of resolutions.
Well, and that's why I think people fail at them. Number one, they pick things they don't really want to do.
Right.
Which is the I'm going to lose 10 pounds thing. They don't really want to lose 10 pounds. They just want to be naturally more thin.
Sure.
So they go, well, I'm going to resolve to be a thinner person.
Yeah.
But they don't really want to
they're also
do what you have to do to lose weight.
Putting it in those terms, though, you can't really quantify. It's like those are results. They're not actions.
Right, totally.
That where if you were to say, I want to at least one healthy meal and work out twice a week for the for the whole year.
And then whatever happens.
Then you can go back and see that you've done those behaviors rather than getting the results that you're necessarily.
Which I like those kinds of goals better because then you can control whether you achieve them or not.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like something
you can't necessarily.
Right.
I mean, it's
the results you can't.
Reasonable to think that I could lose 10 pounds in a year, but that's to me that would be reasonable to assume.
Right.
But if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, then usually you do something different than what would actually be helpful, which is doing stuff like you're saying, eat a little better and work out a little bit more.
And by doing the What About Bob baby steps program, where don't make this outrageous sort of proposition that you're going to have to uplift your whole life for. Just do something that you think you can do.
Totally. So I think people pick stuff they don't really want to do, and then they do what you're saying, which is they run before they can walk. So they're like, I will go to the gym every single day all year. And then it's like, well, no, that's actually kind of a terrible thing to want to do.
Especially at the beginning of the year, you get everybody at the gym, and it's horrible. I used to go to the gym constantly, and this time of year I hated going because I could never get on the machine I wanted to get onto, and it's always I called them the resolutionists, and they'd be gone 30 days later, so I just waited out.
Well, and one year I decided actually kind of around like the end of January, just totally coincidentally, that I was like, I was in school for social work, and I had just started classes, and they were talking about how if you've never been in therapy, you should go and get in therapy because you're going to be a social worker and it's about therapy and you need to know what it feels like.
Sort of like they spray prison guards with mace. Right. So that they know what the mace is like before they...
That's exactly No, well, they used to require people who were going to be therapists to be in therapy, but then that was challenged in terms of legally what you can require people to do.
Okay.
Like they were like, you can't legally require people to get mental health treatment, and then they were like, oh, well, we just strongly recommend that it's a good idea. And I was like, oh, that is a good idea because I haven't ever been in therapy particularly, and so I should do something, and I couldn't really think of anything to do. And so I found a guy who worked on eating issues and weight loss, and
was this in Chicago?
It was in Chicago. And so I was like, I want to be in better health, and it would be cool to figure out what's going on with my, because I'm always way up and down on my weight, and I was like, that would be cool. And so I went to him for a year, which was really great. Really, it totally changed how I think about things like putting values on things, oh, I'm so bad I ate chocolate pie, and oh, I'm so bad I didn't go to the gym. Stuff like that is so, I think, destructive. And so it just kind of changed all the way I think about stuff like that. But when I came in, he was like, I can't help but notice that it's January. And when I get people who show up in my office in January, it occurs to me that perhaps this is part of a New Year's resolution. And I was like, I think that might be a coincidence. And he was like, okay, I just wanted to ask. Because it's probably not a great idea to start therapy based on a New Year's resolution.
So have you made one for this next year? Have you?
I have. I've actually already started, even though it's not New Year's. I'm going to read the top 10. Well, my goal is 20 books. And to start it, because I didn't know what books to read, 20 recently written books. Okay. Because a lot of times I get stuck in books that were written 25 years ago, and I never read anything new. And so I started with the New York Times best books of 2012 and 2013, which do 5 fiction, 5 nonfiction, which is a nice mix. And I'm just going to, I probably won't read all of them because I checked a bunch of them out from the library, and one is 6 inches thick, and I was like, and one's a comprehensive history of James Madison, and I was like, I'm probably not going to read that either. But, so I'm starting with those, and I just have to read 20 books in the year, which I think is doable.
Yeah, sure.
But last year I only read 3 books, and they were all about schizophrenia.
Do you have a reader, a Kindle kind of thing? Or
I do.
You literally don't get the books?
No, I have a Kindle, but most of them I've checked out from the library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if they have it on the digital download, I'll do it from the library, but most of them don't because they were too recently written, and libraries don't have digital copies of really, really recent books.
Yeah, how does the whole digital checking it out from the library happen?
Well, they have a digital library, and depending on the library system, the Seattle Library has Kindle books and has EPUB Adobe books. And so if you don't have a Kindle, you can download the EPUB and read it on your computer screen.
Oh, cool.
How long
and if you
does it download?
have magical special software, you can remove the DRM from the EPUB and read it on your Kindle forever. And I may or may not have done that many times to about 1,000 books I've never read, because I was like, I'll read that someday. Download.
Now, do you find it harder to read it on your Kindle? Or
no, I like the Kindle.
You like it better?
Here's why the Kindle's better. You can lay in bed with your entire body under covers and turn pages. And you don't have to take your hand out, and you just go through the cover, click on the button, and the page turns to the next one. And you can read it at any angle. You don't have to hold it open. Everything about reading in bed is better with Kindle.
Okay, well, that's what it's a good portion of.
Totally. And like on a train or something, it's so light and small and like
Right,
easier.
you don't have to pack a bunch of books with you. You just download them on
Or
your
if you don't
device.
really know what you want to read, you don't have to have 25 books in your airplane bag. You can just have the one Kindle and you can read whatever. And it has a text-to-speech function, which I used to get my textbooks on Kindle, pop in headphones and have the robot voice read my textbooks
suddenly
to
you've
me.
got books on tape.
Kanita would do the same thing, I think.
It sounds weird when you first start. It's like, because it'll even read like citations. It'll be like, Rogers and Hammerstein, 2007. And it's this really robot voice, but once you get used to it.
And also, can you
you don't
increase
mind
the
at all.
speed that they speak as well?
Not on mine.
Oh,
I think you
because that
can
would
on
be cool,
some
like
of them.
speed reading.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
But no, it's
Be
pretty
like the,
slow.
You remember the
reading
Micro
pace
Machines
is
guys
pretty
from
slow.
the 80s?
Yeah.
It'd be like him reading the
They
book
had
for
that
you.
competition of like, world's fastest talking
Well,
kid.
I'm sure there's a threshold that you could only go as far as speeding it up to comprehend.
Be like the legal announcements at
because
the
I've
end of the
listened
commercial.
to some, like, it's amazing how much you can pick up on. Like, I was doing this transcription thing for a research study that one of my professors was doing, and he gave me just like 8 or 9 recorded interviews that were like 2 to 4 hours long, and I would listen to them on like triple speed, and like when I was proofreading, because I'd listen to it at half speed when I was typing so that I could keep up, so it wouldn't get too far ahead of me, because people talk like really fast when they're just conversationally speaking, so typing their words gets a little weird, especially because they jump subjects and stuff a lot too. So I would listen to it half speed while I was typing, and then triple speed to proofread, and your brain will totally, and it makes your reading like crazy fast because you're hearing and seeing, and you can like missionaries on my mission. I'm jumping like 7 subjects. We when I was on a missionary, we would have these like certification things you're supposed to do, and one of them was reading the entire Bible, like beginning to end. And I got the Bible on CD, like the audio book, and had the book open and had it playing on fast speed, and I could just like burn through because it like makes you like hyper focused.
Because you're following 2 things. You're hearing it and
you pick up a lot too, and like you can just rip through it. It was I think it took me like 12 hours to read it total.
Oh really?
Because I think it was like I want to say it was like total reading time, like really low for the Bible, which is like 6 inches thick.
Cool.
And all those horrible books that are just like, and Shem begot Earl, and Earl murdered a goat. And the Lord saith that Earl must murder Shem's goat, and you're like, murder me now, this is so boring. There are large parts of the Bible that are pure comical nonsense.
Yeah, pretty much.
That if anybody really truly went through and read it, they'd be like, what does this have to do
They could
with
left
Jesus?
that out. They
Nothing.
could left that out. They left it edited out.
Well, both testaments too.
Oh, totally. There's there's a couple of really funny parts of the New Testament that if you really look at them, you're like, I don't know about this. Anyway, I don't know about the whole thing.
Speaking on the resolutions, I don't think I've really made any. I've always thought about, it's a new year. I could maybe that's this kind of make a resolutions. I just try to be a better person throughout the year. And then,
what am I gonna do anyway?
Right?
What
Yeah.
am I
What am I?
gonna
I always think, I'm gonna eat better or try to lose weight. And that's
you
just
don't
like
have
the
like
thing.
things you want to do?
I never
Where you
make
go
that
like,
proclamation.
I want to do this thing, and then you do it?
Like getting back on a snowboard or something?
Yeah.
I want to start a podcast.
Yeah, you know what?
Start a podcast.
I always thought about wouldn't that be cool. But I never knew it at the beginning of the year. It's usually like something just randomly like it'll pop into my head, and then within a couple weeks I'll do it. Now this year I want to exercise more. So that's my part. That's my.
You just want to exercise more?
More.
What does more mean?
More than none.
Oh, okay.
So at least once?
At least once.
You
So
can
if I
accomplish
exercise,
this by January 1st.
I've done it. I got the
If
exercise ball out and I did some
more
push-ups.
than last year,
Yeah.
There you go.
I've already exceeded my
Mission
goal.
accomplished.
Actually, one of my Christmas gifts. So my son and I both got them. We got the Nike Fuel Band.
Huh.
And that,
Oh, is that the pedometer on your wrist?
yeah,
How much
it's
are
really
those?
expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
I have the
They more than
Fitbit.
$150.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of steep. But I got the app downloaded on my phone, and it is really cool because you compete with yourself, and it tells you how much behind you are than the day before. So it's like, it's a motivational tool.
Totally.
Yeah.
You can do it for a third of the price with one of the Fitbits. They
Yeah.
have like a medium. They came out with wristbands now, which are really cool, but I
Right.
can't wear wristbands boxing because my wrists are covered.
Right.
Oddly enough, found that out because I wanted to bring my watch to work out with, and I put on my wraps, and then I was like, what do I do with this watch? And I ended up putting it around my bra strap, and it was like sticking out of the top of my shirt because I had to be able to like kind of see it. It was really weird, and I was like, oh, I never thought for some reason it didn't occur to me that my wrists were covered.
Right.
But I have the little where is it right now? It's in my pocket. I sometimes put it in my bra, which is why I was just poking myself in the armpit / boob area. But
I had the same
anyway,
area.
there.
But I don't
Well,
wear-
this is
I don't
where
wear
I
a
put
bra.
it. I just tuck it like right in there half the time. But
That's-
it's just a little like a tube of chapstick size thing that you can put in
Yeah.
your pocket or
Okay.
whatever.
That's also another thing I'm trying to avoid. I'm fastly approaching the size of where I'm going to need a bra. So I don't want to wear one.
Bras are a scourge, so
Yeah.
it's good for you to think about that.
I don't want to get the
Here it
rash.
is.
I don't want to get the rash.
Oh, it's like
but
a little flash drive.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
this is the dongle.
Okay.
Dongle's
Dongle.
my favorite word.
Yeah.
I discovered that fob and dongle are my two favorite words.
Huh.
And fob is your thing that you
The key fob.
you
Oh,
unlock your
okay.
car with.
Right,
I'm making
right.
the hand gesture of it.
Right.
Everybody look what I'm doing.
Totally.
Yeah.
But this does the same thing that Scott was saying. It tracks steps, it tracks calories,
Right.
and then it has an online interface that, like, when I go boxing, I tell it that I'm boxing during those times, and then
Okay.
it does the metrics and factors them in with like
Yeah.
average calories you use doing boxing, which can't really be quantified by how many steps you take, you know?
Right.
Yeah, more than half
It's
the price of
really-
this is because it's Nike. If it was
Right.
made by somebody else, it would be
Okay.
cheaper.
Totally.
And it interfaces with Apple very well. And,
Yeah.
Uh,
Nike has
two
a whole
rich
system.
guy systems.
Yeah. Well, I got it for my birthday last year,
Okay.
but
This
but they're
one is also
really
they made
helpful.
it to where I tried taking it off and shaking it, and it doesn't
Oh,
work.
doesn't it? I
It
can
has
do
to
that
have-
with
it
this.
has
If
to
I
be
really
on.
want to, I
Yeah.
can trick it. But it takes longer
Or
than
you
it
should
would
take a
just to
string
go
and you hang
walking.
it out the car when you drive.
Yeah.
Or I could
No.
swing it around, yeah.
Totally.
But yeah, we've and one thing. Here's the thing. I'm upset because I put mine on. I'm busting my ass yesterday. My boy just kind of lounging around, and I said, "Oh, have you hit your goal yet?" And he goes, "He's not doing shit because of his age. It runs faster. His metabolism is
Oh,
faster."
Maybe you
yeah.
can get in there
He's
and
already,
make your
he's
goal
already,
lower, or-
yeah. I'm like, and so it's based on points, fuel points, and I set mine for 2,750 points a day, and he's at 2,500.
Does that translate to any real metric?
Calories,
Because
yes, you get-
Is it just a straight
it's-
1-to-1 calorie?
No, it's 3
Because
calories.
I hate that shit when they're like, "Oh, this is your activity point," and I'm like, because Fitbit does that
It's
too.
3 to 1.
It'll tell you your calorie output, and then it gives you a fitness score, and it's just like a multiple of the calorie.
Yeah,
I'm
see,
like,
again,
all I need is the calories
this
then. Like
function
this
thing
other
that
number
is-
means nothing.
That wraps
Right.
things up into results rather than
Right.
actions that you can quantify. Did you go out and walk yesterday?
Right.
You did something. You know, why are you
Well,
so
and that's
wrapped up
what, like,
in what
it
the
gives
effects
you
are?
it gives you very finely tuned metrics of what you've done.
Okay.
And so you can go, like, mine gives you a pie chart of, like, your time sedentary, your time doing
Okay.
this level of intensity,
Alright.
your time
Right.
doing that level, this many steps, this many
Okay.
feet, this
All
many
right.
floors.
Great.
And so you can look at it and go, oh, this week my goal was to walk, 3 miles a day,
Okay.
and I really
Right.
only walked 2.8 miles a day, so tomorrow I have to
Okay.
do this much. And
Cool.
then it'll give you, mine has like a week, and you set a goal for the
Right.
week. And then it tells you at the bottom, like, in order to reach your goal for this week, today you have to do this much because of what you did yesterday or
Okay.
the day before.
Yeah.
And it's
And
really,
also
I think
the
it's
average.
It's
awesome.
it's very similar to
I
what
love
I
it.
have.
Yeah,
and I
they're
have
almost
also
exactly
I have
the same.
achievements too. I can get little
Yeah.
trophies and all.
Yeah, they're-
Hurrahs! Like I
Like,
reached my goal
you
3
climbed
days.
the Eiffel Tower. more.
Yeah.
Like,
and like I did my goal 3 days in a row. I meet so meet your goal, and then you can go on beyond that. So everything's like you win extra stuff.
It's the ultimate of input-based tracking because usually when people are exercising, they you look at stuff like the scale, which shows you your output,
right?
But this shows you exactly what you're putting in,
right?
And so then you can really pay attention to what you're doing.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Because the steps aren't exactly, because I've counted off my steps.
They are a little...
Like, it'll rob me of, because I don't know if it goes on by how an average gait is, because my gait is not as...
I have to put in my height and my stride length and stuff like that.
Yeah, my age. It'll tell me I'm, at the end of the day, yesterday, I was 400 points ahead of guys my age.
Right on.
Which is fuck you guys.
Screw you guys. I'm awesome.
I'm better than you.
Even though I'm on the beginning of my 6th month of boxing, still rated as sedentary in my on my thing. Even though I've done that much more than I've ever done, I've moved from the bottom of sedentary to the edge between sedentary and lightly active. And I was looking at it and I was like, fuck yeah, man, I'm super active. And then I looked at it and it's 17 hours of not moving. And I'm like, oh, that's fair. I totally watched TV for 17 hours that day. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should... if I just went for a walk for a half hour every day, it would move me because it's a lot of it's based on how much time you spend sitting versus how much time you spend not sitting.
I'd like it to be.
I sit a lot.
I would like it to be slightly sarcastic too. Yeah, you move a lot for a sloth.
For a fatty. Yeah, I find it hilarious though. Whenever I look at my thing, I'm like, I'm doing so good, and then I'm like,
well, I guess if it helps to motivate you to do stuff, then how could it be wrong, right?
Yeah.
Whatever gets
I just look at it as it was mainly her, but what Kenita's doing. She's the one that really pushed us into it. I think it's because, well, for one, our son, he's moving into high school next year, and that's a really unforgiving time of a teenager's life, and he's a big kid. And so it's more
statistically though, there's a lot more big kids.
I know, right? But and then also later on, as he gets older, those diseases start cropping up, like diabetes and heart disease. And I just want him to be a little bit more.
Yeah, just remember though that a fat person who exercises daily will have a much lower chance of getting those diseases that are supposedly due to fatness than a thin person who doesn't exercise.
Right. That's we want him to move.
The thing is, he doesn't move.
From what I understand, I'm no parent or anything, but he's going to watch what you're doing more than what you're saying.
Totally.
So
I'm doing.
That's good.
There you go. That's about what you can do then, I would say.
Yeah,
but I'm no parent, so
I totally agree with you right there. It's about hypocrisy,
what does he see you doing? He's going to be really kind of
and we instead of me driving by the post office on the way home, I go home, I walk to the post office, and he goes with me.
Totally.
And it's not that far; it's only a couple blocks, so it's.
But they say though that adding, as opposed to going to the gym, this is actually one of the things that when I was seeing that therapist, that he was like, I'm not joking about this, forget about going to the gym. And I seriously purposefully didn't join a gym for a lot of years because if you build in things I just walk to some place that's less than a mile away, I don't drive there, you will have more chance of doing that long term than if you go to a gym.
Yes.
And if you go, if something's I always walk to the grocery store, I don't drive my car to the grocery store, building that in, it creates so you don't have the 17 hours of sitting, which actually I blame a lot of my laziness on moving to Seattle because Chicago has a much less car-based culture.
Oh yeah.
And Seattle, some people walk, but really things are too far apart. It's not good for walking, and public transportation costs a lot more.
Actually, Woodinville's not too bad for walking.
Woodinville's great for walking.
Boarding is horrible for walking.
I'm sure.
Yeah. The sidewalks are 2.5 feet wide.
But where
you can't
Rick
even get 2
lives,
people on them.
there's everything within a half a mile of your house is the entire city of Woodinville.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's so pretty there. You have the Lake Sammamish, or the Sammamish River Trail.
Right.
It's nuts.
The Bird Guild is just right there.
It's
Red
so
Brewery's
pretty.
just down the road.
Yeah.
Do you like hiking, Rick?
Not particularly.
No.
Well, I mean, I've done it.
Yeah.
I like the scenery. I kind of like the the after effects of hiking. I like it better than fishing and hunting.
Yeah, me too.
It's sort of like, I like the camping, the camaraderie and the whole experience, but I'm not an outdoorsy kind of guy. I like skiing. I love skiing, but
we talked about that. It is the height of skiing season right now. So
But no, for the most part, if I'm hiking up a hill carrying 40 pounds of stuff, then I'm not very happy.
No.
Usually, but I mean. But I get it, and I'll go. I mean, it depends on the company and where. And,
I like it when I can go to my destination, come back, and then go home.
Never really involved in scouts and their 50-mile crappy things or whatever they do, and merit badges and all that stuff. But again, it was more about just the people that hanging out with than really what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
totally. I guess I don't like hiking either then, but I like walking outside.
Oh yeah.
But I don't like carrying stuff. I don't like camping at all.
Right.
I don't like sleeping
I like
outdoors.
exercise even less.
Yeah.
I like playing things. I like, making efficient use of physical labor, I guess. I don't know. It just kind of like on a treadmill or just lifting weights or just,
the
it's just
walking
kind
on the
of
treadmill
like,
is boring.
A friend of mine had an idea to do a gym which was based on that would capture your work, basically, like you're pulling a levee or something and you're actually generating electricity or something to run the actual building where you're at or something. Or you could go to the gym and actually work out but get paid to do it because you've racked up so many.
You're creating literal energy. That would be really
like
cool.
A battery or to run the
I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Yeah, I mean, just because someone hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get at least what solar power could bring, instead of having a bunch of solar powers on your roof.
Totally.
Just have an exercise room that's, that you work on certain areas and it.
Well, what's his name?
Batteries,
he was on the television show back in the 80s, St. Elsewhere, the activist, Ed.
Ed Begley Jr.
Ed Begley Jr. Yeah, he has a bicycle set up in his house that generates.
Bicycle.
Sure.
When we used to go, when we were kids, we had membership at the Court Club in the Tri-Cities. They had a rowing machine that it had this little like old school computer game that would you're against the pacing thing, and then it would tell you how much energy you were generating with each pull. And I always remember thinking like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm like, I'm making energy. This is fun.
Well, near those, at the Science Center or wherever they had the bicycle with all the lights that would light up as you got cranking right now.
That would be like the meeting of the nerds and the hippies, where you'd have like the ones who were like, we have to give back, man. Like, we gotta make energy. And then you'd have the ones who were just fascinated with, like, the metrics of it. I would join that gym.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
Totally. Anyway. I think we're about out of time.
Okay.
Really quick, we'll just mention a little bit more about the coffee. What's the name of this place again? Vince's.
Vince's.
Now, I knew this place was cool when I walked in and they have 2 vibrating lounge chairs.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're vibrating. Nice.
Oh my gosh!
Well,
I didn't
bring
even
you
notice
back.
those.
Yeah, and
why are we sitting
get it
here?
back.
I know, right? Well, we'd sound funny on the podcast. We all vibrate. This place is awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Jimi Hendrix is not very too far away from here.
Yeah, the Jimi Hendrix Memorial.
Yahoo!
Yeah, I knew that because I looked in the comments in the reviews section of the place.
It's like, people like,
that's close to the Jimi Hendrix Memorial.
Weird. Was he from Renton?
I'm not that much of
a.
Yeah, I know there's a statue of him on Capitol and Broadway there.
Yeah.
But his house went up for auction some like 10 or 15 years ago. Went up for auction. Somebody bought it.
I know his family's in like a lot of disputes over the rights to his stuff or something like that. But
I gotta say, not that into him. He to me reeks of someone who was probably really fun to go to live. But whenever his songs come on the radio, there's a moment where I change the next channel because I'm bored with it.
But if you don't like reggae, if you don't like kind of it's sort of a reggae. Well, not really.
It's kind of like a reggae influence, but
yeah.
I think it goes on too long and it's not that interesting, and it just sounds like.
Do you like
stuff
Pink Floyd at all? Do you like David Gilmour? Have you heard him?
I don't know who that is.
He's the guitar player for Pink Floyd.
I love Pink Floyd.
But he's a soul when he plays. He just I don't know. It's just sort of a long progressive rock.
Yeah, and I'm not that into that kind of music. Like most stuff that is described as progressive rock, I'm just like it just is stuff going on.
Span. No, I'm just
yeah. No, it's not that interesting. It's like a B- for a really long time, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And I go, nah, change.
I like him only maybe because he's part of the area. Had he been from somewhere else, I'd probably be like, meh.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was from this part of the country.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's because he's a long time ago. But my son's in him too. That's a weird thing too.
Well, he's really popular.
Generational.
Yeah. Totally. Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Well.
So I guess, did we ever do the date?
We did.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we? Because we went back in time, remember? It was time travel.
Right.
Yeah. Remember, here we come first look. We just traveled back in time.
Gotta get back in time.
Cool. So next week we will. I'm trying to think. Next week I'm in charge.
So
who knows what we're gonna do? But
you keep talking about that place in Seattle. Your friend.
Maybe we will go to that. I have to talk to her. Actually, I won't see her before next week. But maybe we'll go to get some Italian coffee where they serve it in tiny cups, and you put your finger up and it's super tiny.
Yep.
Or you get your espresso and it's like 1 spoonful of liquid.
It's like CoffeeZilla.
Yeah.
Sounds like a California thing.
It's Italian.
Oh, Italian.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is close to California.
A little bit.
It's like on the. It's like it's on the border.
All right.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Let's go.